Okay, morning maths fans, here we go again. It's Monday morning, it's another fine day, and yes, it's Maths Live. So today we're going to be looking at estimating a mean, and we've got some watches already. So without further ado, we'll have today's 15-second digital rights free music, which is Steppenwolf. Okay, and that was Get Your Motor Running. And that's what this week is all about, really. Or should we say, keep your motor running, not get your motor running. Keep your motor running, especially this fine time, because it's been a number of weeks now, and we've not been in school, and it's really pushing people's limits in terms of their work. But believe me, get yourself up early, get your work done, and then have a bit of an afternoon free. That is the best way of doing it, folks. Work in the morning, work hard, and then you still got some free time later on. So I hope you've all had a good weekend. Okay, good morning to Lydia. Okay, Alfie's out there too. Well done, guys. Keep turning up. Okay, 6 viewers already. Could be a world record this morning. Okay, so let's get cracking. So what I thought we'd do today is estimating a mean. Okay, so this is linked to what we were doing last week with cumulative frequency, and it isn't linked. It's linked only in a small way, in the fact that the table that you start with looks similar, but all of the maths involved are very, very different, and so it's a completely different topic. Okay, so treat this as a separate topic to what we were doing. Okay, so before we do anything else, we've got some intervals I've set up for you. This is our starter. Incidentally, I'd like you to take note of the pen I'm using this morning. Pixel. Why do I want you to take note of that? Because I know for a fact that several teachers have left lots of pixel work for you, and so in some cases it's not been looked at for a while, so maybe you want to have a quick look at the Pixel Web Math app to just see if you're up to date on that. Okay, without further ado, so really there's a couple of skills to think about here. So when we were talking about cumulative frequency, we were talking about this interval here. When we plot, that was the important one when we plot the data. But for estimating a mean, what we need to do is find the middle of this. Now I'll explain why that is important as we're going along. So we need the midpoint of these, and actually the midpoint isn't always as easy as you look. Okay, now I want to just talk to you a little bit more about these intervals as well, because we could have intervals like that, but that is the easy way of writing them. You're more likely to have an interval that looks something like this. Okay, and really it's the same thing. The only little extra bit here is that we can have a 40, and here it means numbers from 30 to 40. Okay, so we've got to be careful when we're doing intervals, because if I was including this interval as well as that, if I had a number 40, I wouldn't know which one it went in. So really I'd have a 1 there. But just think about what's going on. This means you can have any number from 30 to 40, and then what happens now is there's a little tally involved, so we can kind of say that 6 people have got a score of between 30 and 40. That's the idea. Well, what we want to concentrate on at the moment is midpoints. Okay, so we should understand that the middle point of 30 and 40, okay, is going to come in at 35. But it really isn't that easy to understand, because if we rely on that for everything, when we get difficult numbers or decimals and things like that, we're going to fall down on that, just guessing it, just seeing, oh yeah, it's 35. But so we need a little strategy, and it's really easy to find this strategy. Okay, and actually I'll let you into a secret. I didn't use this strategy until later on, and it's so easy. So if I wanted the midpoint of 30 and 40, basically it's like finding the average of 30, 40. Add up the two numbers, okay, and then divide by 2. And that gets you exactly halfway. So 70 divided by 2 is 35. So that's the midpoint of that number there. So between 40 and 50, add them up. 40 add 50 is 90. So the midpoint is going to be 45. Okay, so that's question 2 down there. Question 3. 6 add 9. 6 add 9 is going to be 15. 15 halved is 7.5. Okay, and the last one, midpoint from 5 to 12, so we need to add them up and divide by 2. So I just give you a little minute, 30 seconds. I want the midpoint of between 5 and 12. Answers in the comment box, please. Midpoint between 5 and 12. Okay, some answers are coming in now. Keep them coming. Fantastic. Well done, Lydia. We've got an 8.5 coming in there. That's brilliant. So if we add these up together, we get a total of 17. No. Yeah, 17. What am I on about? 17 divided by 2 is going to be 8.5. Okay, you can tell it's morning, getting 19 from 5 add 12. Okay, well done, Dylan. Okay, Dylan's coming in there with an 8.5. Good man. Top notch. And yes, we have a world record number of watches this morning. We're now up to 7. Keep them coming, folks. This is the highlight of the day. All right, so that's looking at midpoints then. So that's a really important part of what's going on. Okay, so let's jump to a question, a typical question. Okay, just give me a minute, and there we go. So, take a look at this question here. All right, so we've got a this is exactly like a GCSE. Now, I know there's some issues with cameras with me, and that's ongoing, so you have to listen as well. Okay, so one afternoon a survey was taken of 100 customers, handy to know, 100 customers, at a supermarket. The time they spent queuing at the checkout was recorded. Right, now this is another important thing of why we do this, okay? So the first thing we've got here is 18 people. That's like the frequency. Let me bring this up a little bit closer. Okay, Mr. Donlan's version of Zoom. There we go. Okay, so let's have a close look at this question. So, as you can see, we've got an interval of time between 0 and 5. And what we're saying is that 18 people out of a survey of 100 spent between 0 and 5 minutes queuing at the checkout. Okay, so I don't think that's going to be Lidl in Wrexham, because that is not true. It'll something like this for Lidl in Wrexham. Mind you, Lidl in Wrexham is great. It's just that you have to queue for the checkout. Okay, so 18 people queued between 0 and 5 minutes. That's what that means. Now, the problem is here, we don't know exactly, from this information, we just recorded it, we don't know exactly how long between the 0 and 5 those people have waited for. And when we think about the mean, a mean is add up the number of numbers and divide by, add up the numbers and divide by number of numbers. So we're going to divide by 100 at the end, but what numbers have we got here? So one person could have had 2 minutes, one person could have had 5 minutes, one person could have had 3.5 minutes. We don't actually know. So when we add these numbers up here, okay, we need 18 lots of numbers between 0 and 5. And that's why we use the midpoint, because this is an estimate. Okay, we're estimating. The question here says estimate. So the estimate part is what we're saying is we're estimating that those 18 people are roughly in the middle of this category, so halfway. Okay, so that's the first thing we need to do. We need to figure out what each of these people in this group are how long they've roughly spent, and that is the midpoint. Now, this is typical WJC question. No room here. Okay, they haven't set up a table, and the idea is you set that table up at the side. So we need another column for the midpoint, and I'm going to put another column in as well, and I'm going to come back to that other column at later on. We're going to concentrate with the midpoint. Okay, so title at the top, midpoint, MP, midpoint. Okay, so just like we did before, we need 0 plus 5. Okay, add them up and divide by 2. And using this system is great because we've got something that covers everything. Okay, so I just want to point out here, we can use a calculator. Now obviously we don't need a calculator for this, but we easily use a calculator to assist us. So we've got 0. Now if you're using an iPhone like me this morning, it isn't very clear on the screen, but it's clear for me. 0, add 5. So add them together. Now, with this is a basic layout on an iPhone. They're not very good calculators actually. They should. I think that's something Apple could really do. So I've added them together. Now, obviously it's 5, and then I'm going to go divide, which is there, by 2. Gives us 2.5. Okay. So that one is 2.5. Okay, and work your way down. Let's use the other calculator. Okay, 5 add 10. 5 add 10 divided by 2. Okay, which is 7.5. And you start seeing a pattern here. But really don't rely on that, because it's not 100% sure that it's going to keep going that pattern. So these might vary. You see, you've got the pattern there, 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, but at the end or in the middle it might go out of sync. So it's best to do this process for each one. 25 divided by 2, 12.5. 35 divided by 2, that's, oops, my brain said 12, my hand wrote 11. That's going to be 17.5, and this one is going to be 22.5. So in this case, there is a pattern, 2, 7, 12, but don't rely on that. There are often categories where they catch you out. Okay, so let's have a think about the next thing then. So we're going to add up all the numbers now. We're going to focus on this bit here. So we've got 18 people that have got 2.5 minutes. So what we want to do is add up 2.5 18 times. Okay, because we're saying roughly those people are roughly getting in the middle of that category. So what I need to do is go 2.5, 2.5 and add them up like that. I need 18 of those because I'm adding up all the numbers, and then when I get to this category I'm going to add up 7.5 42 times and work until I've got 100 numbers, and then I divide by 100 because that's the total divided by a number of numbers. So I need that 18 times. Right, there's no way I'm going to do that in an exam because I haven't got enough time. So next question for you guys, please type in, what I want you to do is type in what a shortcut of doing 2.5 add 2.5 add 2.5 18 times. Good morning, Miss James. Good to see you online. And that takes us to our Maths Live world record with 7 people viewing. Fantastic, 7 people live. I must emphasise we do get more than 7 over the views later on, up to 40 in some cases. But the live part, we've got a world record this morning. So welcome, Miss James. Good to see you, or hear you, or whatever. Okay, so I want the question, and we've got some questions coming in now. Fantastic. So one answer's come in so far. So I want the shortcut way of getting 2.5 add 2.5 add 2.5 18 times. Okay. Type your answers in the box. And Lydia Monks and Lydia Rumsey are first in. So that'll be packets of Haribo for you two girls when we get back, if you remind me. Mind you, by the time this is over, you probably need a whole box full of them. Okay, so the answer is 2.5 times 18. Okay, so I really want you to think about what's going on here. Okay, so what's going on is we need the total divided by the number of numbers. That's how means work. So we're working on the total here. We've got 18 people at 2.5 each, so we times them through. Okay. Right, so calculator out now. If you've got a calculator handy, you might want to be doing this with me. Okay, so that's 45. So that's why I'm in my other columns there. Okay. I haven't quite put it in, but fixed it in the right spot, but getting the right idea. Let's try and squeeze this one in. 42 times 7.5. Okay, and actually once you've done a few of these, you don't need to write the working out. Actually, you can just put the answer. Okay, 315. Okay, next one, 30 times 12.5. Like I say, once you know what you're doing, just put the answer down, because this is primarily a calculator question anyway. 8 lots of 17.5. You see what I'm doing? I'm just multiplying that and that together to get that. And once you've got the process worked out, of course it's really useful to know why we're doing this as well. It'll help with your understanding. There we go. 2 times 2, 22.5 give us 45. Right, that's great. So I always put here MP times frequency, okay, or customers. So I'm going to put F there, because everyone would know that was F. Okay, so back to this, the mean business. The total divided by number of numbers. Now, the total of all is going to be all of these numbers here. 18 people have got 2.5, so the total is 45. 42 people have got 7.5, so the total is 315. So to get the overall total for every category, we need to add these up. So that's our next job. Okay. Alright, so we're going to add that column up. So simple job, 45, add 315, add 375, add 140, add 45. Hope I haven't missed anything off there. 920, and I always write the total down there, 920. Now I don't need to add these midpoints up, that's just a guideline to say what they've roughly got, so I always kind of miss that out or put a dash or something like that, or you don't want to put a divide, that's for sure, so just NA or something not applicable for that box. But also I need this box here. Okay, and it's useful, although it says in the question 100, if you got time, add them up just on your calculator to make sure. Right, so we've done all the hard work now. Okay, the last bit is to do the mean. Now the mean is the number of the total of the numbers. Okay, total divided by number of numbers, or the number of people. Okay, so we've got 920 divided by 100. Okay, and that gives us 9.2. So on average, what we're saying is that if you go into this particular supermarket, on average you'd be expected to wait 9.2 minutes to get served when you get to the checkout. Actually, that's probably about right, because when I was in Lidl, the queues were massive, but because of social distancing, I got down pretty quickly onto the conveyor belt. So it was not too bad. I would say that was pretty accurate overall. Okay, so that's estimating a mean in a nutshell. Okay, and actually, when you look at these marks, it's the same every time as well. You're looking at these marks. You've got 4 marks there for which I think are pretty easy marks to get. As long as you've got a calculator, as long as you're competent with a calculator, it's pretty straightforward to get those marks. Okay, so I just want to leave you with a final thought. Okay, I'm just looking for something. Alright, I can't seem to find this from the other day. I was just looking for the cumulative frequency question that we did the other day. It's not quite handy at the moment, but my point is that if we go back to this table, alright, is it underneath there? If we go back to this table, this is again another question. If we didn't have the question there and we just had that table, that could quite easily be a cumulative frequency. So the point is that we've got to look very carefully in the question, looking for the words estimate mean or calculate mean in this case. Okay, this is actually calculating mean. It's not estimating because we haven't got any intervals, but looking for the word mean as opposed to cumulative frequency. And then when you've chosen the correct word, that leads on to the correct method. Okay, brilliant. Now I think we should have a little bit more work on this tomorrow, just going over it, making sure we're all good. Okay, because there's a few additions to add on to this, such as estimating the median. You've got the modal group to consider. There's an estimate of the range. There's all these sort of things that we could consider from these tables. So I think it's worth us just having another little go at this just to revise it. And I genuinely think 4 marks, there's a lot to do, but they're easy 4 marks to get, and the median isn't much more difficult neither. There's a little catch to the median that you got to watch for, so that's why it's worth going over. So tomorrow, folks, we'll be estimating a mean version 2, and then I'll have a think about the rest of the week. I'm going into school on the Thursday, so it'll be another topic for Wednesday and Friday. But that's it today, folks. Thanks for coming. Spread the word. Okay, we've got a record number of people watching now, so keep turning up. 10 o'clock tomorrow, and it's been a pleasure. See you later. Keep your motor running.